If you ever wondered why some people can tell a story in a matter of 1 hour, 2 hours, like some of the people I know in my life, I'm looking at you, Dad. It takes them forever to tell a story, and other people they can get on, and within a matter of seconds or minutes, you understand exactly what they do, why they do it, and you're able to understand their why and why it's important to you. Today's video is going to be about one of the best stories I've ever heard told, and it was from a 9-year-old girl who later went on to become a millionaire at the age of 10. This is the story about Mikaila Ulmer, who has Me and the Bees Sweet Lemonade. She now employs hundreds of people, including her mom, and she changed her life. And it's all because she was given a chance to tell a really good story. So I want to take you back to South by Southwest in 2014, 2013-ish. I was working with the African American Chamber here in Austin, and one of the things we noticed is that there wasn't much diversity in Shark Tank. And although this is not the case necessarily nowadays, we noticed that the same people kept getting the same opportunity to actually even be in front of the sharks and be able to pitch the show. And unlike diversity hires and DEI and some of the discussion right now, this was all about giving people an opportunity to sit at the table. A lot of times, if people don't feel they belong in a room or they don't have a way to get in there, how can they actually impact the world? So we partnered with South by Southwest and the casting team at Shark Tank, and they came to town for a diversity Shark Tank call. And the goal wasn't to lower standards like what some people think, but the goal was just to give people who could achieve your standards an actual chance. In walks Mikaila Ulmer, who is a gorgeous little girl. She was from Africa, and she had a lemonade that was made from honey, and her goal, though, was to save the honeybees. Her and her dad, who was always really proud, came in, and we absolutely knew that they were going to nail it and that they were going to get on the show. And the system that I created, that's a 6-piece storytelling system, is based on the discussions that we had with the Shark Tank cast, the casting director. That entire day, we did a full day of casting. You can look it up. It's on YouTube. And they told us exactly what they look for if you ever want to be on Shark Tank, if you want to be in front of investors, if you want to be on the show. This is exactly the process that I developed that we saw in her and why she ended up getting funded. So without further ado, I fancy myself a storytelling scientist, a story scientist, as you will. And that's because as an INTJ, for you who are familiar with Myers-Briggs, I like making systems and taking a lot of information and distilling it down. And it's what I've done at Apple when I worked at with CEO, now CEO Tim Cook, when he was the COO of Apple. I took the information that we had in global projects, and I always distilled it down to something that you can follow. Now, Mikaila, there's a couple things that has to do with the story. There are 6 components of a compelling story. And again, the components, how long they are, doesn't matter. You might adjust them for your brand. But I wanted to tell you it's called the 6-piece storytelling system. And this is something that I think is going to change the way you tell stories and the way that you see them. You can switch them around if you want, but the goal is not like story brand where you're the hero or their client's the hero. It's not following that. But in reading all of the storytelling books, I distilled it down to components. I work with technical founders. We were doing the lean startup movement back in those days. And one of the things I found is that really technical people had a time to blather on and talk over and over without even looking at the person and seeing when they lean in. When you tell these different types of stories or components of the stories, listen to what people say, wow, or they lean in, or they look at you and they're really engaged, because those are the parts that you keep and you keep iterating. So this is a structured system that's meant for you to break and play with later. But the goal is, as you tell the pieces of your story, number one, we also found that it's what the components of a business is. If you don't have these components in your business and you're not able to tell a story about those components, then you don't have anything. And by the way, I'm going to let my hair down on this one. Let me go. So here's component number one, the first P, person. And by the way, especially if you're in marketing, you have heard these all before in some aspects. This is how you put it all together, and I'll tell you at the end how to make it demonstrable. So the first thing we have is the person. Who do you help? The next thing is the problem. What problem are you helping them with? The one problem. Here's the problem with stories, is we sometimes meander about. And depending on your audience, you're going to be talking to them about their one problem. There's moms who, for example, I have a CPG product that I'm launching, is to help women sleep at night. Because I was in perimenopause, I was having a lot of heat. I might still be, I have no idea, but all I know, it got really hot around 2 or 3 a.m. So I'm launching a product that solves the night heat problem. Night heat, by the way, is a different situation than a hot flash, which is during the day. So I know that I help women. That's definitely a person, but that's very top level and very generic. The next thing you want to do is what type of person. Was probably going to be a woman 35 to 40, which you don't necessarily have to say. You can say, I help women with night heat, for example. In Mikaila's case, she had a lemonade that was naturally sweetened, and she, instead of damaging honeybees, she wanted to help grow them, and so she gave back to the honeybees with hers. But in this case, which person do you help? And what's the number one problem? When you're looking in ChatGPT or AI, when you're trying to solve various problems for someone, especially in your area of expertise, look for something that bothers you or the people around them. And when you talk to ChatGPT, ask it to rank the idea, rank the pain. which one is the most acute, aware pain? There's the two situations when you're talking about problem. So when you're talking about a person, generally it's going to be you and a problem that you have. And you can leave demographics out nowadays because that person's going to self-select. And I'm in a different entrepreneur groups. And for example, we have men who are over 40 or 50 look great. I told them you either have a monkey's paw or something that you're trying to worship that you look this damn good. In your 50s, what are you doing? And a lot of times they have supplements where they're talking to women, they're talking to men, they're talking to everyone. Just talk to you from 2 or 3 years ago. You hear that all the time now. So for example, in this case, if I'm helping a woman with night heat, I don't have to say I'm helping a woman over 40, but it does help to say with the night heat situation, with sleep disruption, which is really what it is when you have to wake up, this woman who in my eye is me from years ago, a business executive who needs to perform the next day. If people need to sleep, there's moms, there's who are tired, there's pregnant women, there's a lot of people who experience hormonal imbalance and sleep disruption at night. But when I asked ChatGPT just for ideas, because in this stage you're just getting ideas of who you're going to talk to. If a woman is pregnant, that's one problem that you're dealing with in a different way. If she's someone who's a boardroom executive, which is my target audience, you cannot lose a night of sleep. You have to absolutely be on the ball, or especially in the age of AI, you'll lose your job. You know that they're trying to get you out of there. We all know that. As you age, as you get as a woman, whether people want to admit it or not, the older you get, the more likely they're going to want to look to younger people. Maybe if you're a 6-figure salary person, whether you're a woman or not, you know that they look at you as an expense at a certain point. So one of the things that you can't have as a woman, especially executive at those top levels, it stresses you out. If you look tired, if you have bags under your eyes, if your makeup doesn't look great, regardless, the world judges you by the way you look, men differently than women. So with the woman that I'm targeting with my CPG brand, it's going to be someone who absolutely has to get up and knock it out of the park. She has to be able to clearly think, clearly behave, and look right. She has to look refreshed. So she's going to be willing to pay more for my product for the problem that I'm solving, which isn't just you can't sleep. It's that you will lose your job, not scaring her, but this is the thought process I went through, is why is this important? When you try to solve a problem, you need to say, why is this problem important to this person now, acute right now, that they need to reach for my product, reach for my service, or contact me right now. And that's something that ChatGPT can absolutely help you with. So the first P, person. Second P is going to be the problem. Now, the third is going to be the promise. And this is what's really unique. Once you do the research in ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever AI you want to use, you're going to look for your competitors. This is where you're going to do competitor research to see what promises are they making. Some drugs, some supplements, they say knock you out cold. Well, my person, number one, because I am her and I know her, which always helps to look at you and who you know and what you know, because you're going to internally know things that other people aren't. So with this one in the promise, you're going to be looking at, okay, well, the other ones want to knock you out, but what if I don't wake up on time? Well, that's bad. I need to be able to get up on time and be alert. And if you just knock me out, other women, maybe they're really tired, they have kids, they want to get a really good night's rest. But with this person, she has to get up maybe at 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning and be on a flight or something early morning where maybe she's going to get rest, maybe she needs to do work on the plane. We don't know, but we can't have it to where she is getting completely knocked out. So once you survey the market of promises, do a market research for identifying the gaps. Tell ChatGPT, I want to identify the gaps in the market. Sometimes you can call it white spaces and it will know what that is. I want to identify what are people not talking about? How are they solving the problem? So that you can think, if this was me, either through research or because it is you, what would be dissatisfying about the other promises? Maybe the ingredients aren't clean. Maybe the service takes too long. Maybe it's too complicated. Maybe it's too expensive. Now, you don't want to be a cheap brand, but what's something you can do to maybe bring the price down? Maybe you can have a cohort. Maybe you can have something that you can add on to make it more premium. So, but you're not going to know that if you don't look at the promises out there. Person, we got the problem, we got the promise. My unique promise is that she's going to get back to sleep fast with natural ingredients, and that she's going to be able to function the next day without feeling groggy or too tired. The next one is the product itself. Now, this is a story, and I have the story types that I can cover in other videos. Each of these has a particular story type. This is what I call this gladiator story. This is the fighter. So the product is the gladiator. The product is the one that comes along and beats the problem, knocks it out for the person. So you have a person, you have a problem, you have a specific promise that you're making. You are going to handcraft a product that specifically solves a problem for that person. In this instance, that's the most acute for them. Do not, when you're telling your story, talk about all the other ways that your product solves a problem. That's for other videos. You don't want to say, and it does this, and it does that. That's one of the things, for the love of God, that technical founders do all the time, or even consultants, because they think they need to add things into the stew. You already have garlic, black pepper, you have some seasoning. You don't need to let them know you have all these other things in there. You need to know the basics, that there's a basic thing here that's special. And then as they follow the rest of your content and what you're doing, they're going to figure out And I'm making sure my hair looks good. Okay. And they're going to figure out what's going on there. So your product is going to be one that is specifically targeted. If you are looking at pricing, then you want to offer something that's more middle of the road. So it has the same quality ingredients in my case, because I have a CPG product, or if you were to have a book or a service, it has the same quality as the other one, but it's more affordable because, this person's on the go. Maybe they're traveling. Maybe it's not because they just can't afford it, because if it's a big enough problem, they can afford it. It's just a matter of maybe you have a payment plan or some of these other things, which gets to one of the last P's, which you're going to want to know about. So we talked about the person, the problem, the product, the promise, and your product. The product itself that's when you are switching over into sales mode. Once you've done the first three, now you can talk about your product and the transformation. So it's going to be, you were here and now I'm going to take you here. Were you restless and you couldn't sleep, but you didn't want to be knocked out? Well, with my product that I developed for you, busy business executive woman, you have to be in the boardroom tomorrow. You have to look good and feel good. And therefore, my product is exactly for you. And she's going to pay more for it because you have tailored your message to her. And again, these could be 1 minute, they can be 10 minutes if you're in a longer meeting or doing a presentation. But for now, we're going to assume that these are like 10 to 6 seconds, 60 seconds each. You just really brief in a video. The fifth one, so we have 2 more to go. This is the one that people often miss, or where it gets the most boring and bogged down. The fifth is process. So with this one, think about it this way. You have handcrafted the perfect solution for this person. You have walked uphill in the snow, through a mountain, the deepest valleys, and picked the purple flower that is exactly right, and you put it into that pot that has all the same seasonings. 80-90% is everyone else. Maybe the packaging is different. Maybe there's a special ingredient that you have. Maybe there's a process that you follow that has been proven over time. Guaranteed, if you're a coach, you have a system or something that you've done. You may have not named it and it's not fancy, but you can show that you've found success for yourself and others through a systematic process. This is when process can get boring, but all you have to do at this point is show the transformation. Show you were out of shape and now you're here. You were tired and now you're here. Start with yourself, start with a friend, start with beta clients, start with someone that you want to take through your process to show the transformation. They were making $0, now they're making $10 an hour or a day or something like that. That's not a good example. But the point is that you're taking someone from zero to their first $1,000 online, to their first client, their first speaking engagement. Process is where you introduce people. You introduce her back into the story. You take the woman or whoever you're helping on person, and you make process less boring by saying, this was you. And now, because of my process, because I handcrafted and stirred up the goodness, I'll think of the spaghetti for some reason. I'm stirring in the goodness. This is made for you in your situation, an acute pain that you're feeling right now. And here's the transformation. Now, but what is the last P? The last P is protection. Buyers always hesitate. People hesitate when they don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you yet. Now, if they don't like you, then never mind. But the point is they don't know the know, like, and trust. They don't know you. And the more people that you reach, the more your message reach, the more transformation stories that you have in the previous one, in that process story, in the transformation story, the more they tend to trust you. But the last P, protection, is what a lot of brands, no matter what product you have, you can offer money back guarantees. You can offer try it, or we give you your money back. You can offer extras on top of it. You can offer a free coaching call. Even if you have a CPG product, besides returns and those types of things, the protection is how well have you made your case that this works, and what happens if it doesn't? Do you care about the community? Do you care about that person? One of the stories that I'm developing with the channel was the downfall of Lunchly. They had a problem where they had moldy cheese on things that shouldn't be moldy yet. Now, what they could have done is gone back to the community and told a protection story, for example, and said, we realized we made a mistake. Here's the flaw that was in our process. Here's who we wanted to help, how we wanted to help them. Here's our promise that we had, that this was going to be a healthy lunch. Now, there was a problem in the process, but we fixed that. So now, send in your product, you'll give you a refund and send you out a new product. That protection is trust. So you move a buyer from not trusting you or your message, they start to trust your process. All right, I get it. And there's other stories. It can work for someone else, but can it work for me? And if it doesn't, then what? That's where protection comes in, where you say you get your money back. I do a coaching call. I keep going no matter what. We send you new product. We send you free product. We talk to you. You really show that you care. So the thing about the last P is showing that you care. And if you were on Shark Tank, let's take this all the way back. Now that we've laid out the 6 Ps, again, person, problem. What's the promise that I'm making that's unique to the market? What is my product? This reveal. If you're on Shark Tank, you reveal your product after that. If you're on TikTok or YouTube, you want to have the product there and move quickly through these. You can say each of these Ps in less than 10 seconds and have a 1-minute story on on your socials, or a less than a minute story. If you were to spend 5 seconds, for example, on your each P, here's who I help. Here's the problem that you're having. Here's the promise of why this one's different. Here's the product itself, which if you are on TikTok, by the way, you need to show the product immediately on Instagram or any short story. And not only that, but here's why it works, which is what a lot of creators in my network, by the way. I have a TikTok service where we manage someone's shop and we create small creator armies that use the 6P system to tell stories on behalf of the brand. One of the things that they often miss is why does it work? Because that's when you have that trust. And the next thing is going to be the protection. Money back guarantee. This is a special promotion. It's only available now. So protection can also be that this is only available for a short period of time. This is maybe it's a launch or a beta product. That's when FOMO can come in. So get yours now. There you can return it if you don't like it. The brand, they provide really good customer service, can be a good protection. They talk to you. They really care. Care is protection. And so that's how you walk them through that. And if you were talking with an investor, you would talk about how you protect your IP. Maybe you have trademarks. Maybe you have those types of things. I can go into each P later. The goal was to introduce this so that I can actually get this video out, because my coaches are like, talk to the camera. Just go talk and tell people about what this is. So you have a person you help. You have a problem that's acute and painful. You have a promise to them that's unique to your skill set, your background, or the problem that you care about the most. Your promise to them. You have the product that you introduced that was handcrafted through a process, through an arduous process that they don't have to do themselves. And at the end of it, you've also shown that it can work for someone just like them, that it's not just you, but it's others, hopefully. And if not, then you have a beta or something else where you're testing it, maybe for a lower price. And the last part is protection. It's your patented system. It's your trademark. It's your own IP. It's something that's just unique to you. And you offer money back guarantees. With that, you have a winning system, you have a winning story, and any investor is going to be willing to fund you, including a Shark Tank investor. So if you want to work with me, you can look me up on LinkedIn. I'll have my site in the description. I work with CPG brands themselves. I am the story scientist, and it's getting hot in here. So let's turn this off. And I'm hoping, by the way, that my microphone is working, because I have filmed before and my mic was completely off. So I'll see you in the next video. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say, your thoughts on the 6P, how you might be able to use it. And I'm hoping once I reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube to go live so that I can help troubleshoot where your 6P, where your story is going wrong, what you're missing, what you might be able to do, the offer that you might be able to have. Maybe a little bit of piece that you just need a slight tweak and you can increase those conversions. I'd love to be able to help you, and I'll see you in the next video.